presents California Angels Baseball. Live from the ballpark in Arlington, the California Angels take on the Texas Rangers. Tonight's Angels game is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. By Chevrolet and the new Chevy S-Series line of trucks. So new from the inside out, everything else is history. By Tony Roma's, a place for ribs. By Pep Boys. For quality parts, accessories, and service, come to Pep Boys, America's automotive super center. By The Money Store, where you can refinance your home with just one phone call and about 20 minutes, even if your credit is less than perfect. And by Southwest Airlines. Flying the low-fare airline is just plain smart. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Texas. Ken Wilson along with Ken Brett. This is game one of a four-game series. The big news, Ken, a strike date has been set by the players. It is August the 12th. What do you think?
I think that the players are smart in setting a strike date for August the 12th as opposed to September the 30th, when even though a lot of the players would get a lot of their money, at least they're saying to the owners, hey, look, we're serious. There's still almost a couple of weeks to try to negotiate something. And I would think if they're 90% close to getting a settlement date, they would waive that August the 12th date. Let's just hope something happens positive between now and then.
Many people feel that there will be a strike. Obviously, there would be fewer games in the season, so every game now becomes all the more important. There are a lot of pennant races, including the American League West.
Well, the Angels, it's getting to be like a broken record, but they still, even though they're 18 games under 500, they're 6.5 games out of first place. If they could get hot, sweep the Texas Rangers, they would find themselves 2.5 games out of first place. And with the really clock ticking right now, 2.5 games after a sweep would be something that they could overcome, but they need a sweep.
And the Texas Rangers, they've been in first place for a long time. Most people felt when the season started they might be the best team in the division.
Their pitching and defense have not been up to par, and I talked to Kevin Kennedy, their manager, just a few minutes ago on the field, asked him what it was going to take for Texas to win the West.
I think, number one, to be healthy, and we haven't been able to do that all year. The pitching right now with Kevin Brown having the broken foot, fortunately he came back from that. Kenny Rogers tonight. We're going to try to throw those two guys as many times as we can the next 13 days. But really, we just haven't been healthy. Jeff Fry is out. Gary Reedus is out. And we're just going to have to battle and persevere and just try to stay healthy these next 13 days, because we can't afford to lose any more people.
Kevin Kennedy, the Rangers manager. Our pitching matchup, a couple of left-handers, the youngster Andrew Lorraine and the veteran Kenny Rogers.
Andrew Lorraine is making his second major league start. I think he'd like to forget about his first one, although I think he learned a couple of valuable lessons. And Kenny Rogers, 16-10 last year, 10-6 this year. They need for Kenny Rogers to pitch good from here on in.
It is a big game for both teams. We're in a new ballpark here on Channel 5. We'll show you around and have some fun. It's baseball coming up next. Curtis, the center fielder, then third baseman Spike Owen. Jim Edmonds bats third. He's in left field. The DH and cleanup hitter is Chili Davis. Bo Jackson will get a start in right field tonight. JT Snow, hot with a bat, is at first. Rex Hudler hits seventh and plays second. The eighth hitter is Angels catcher Chris Turner, and the ninth batter is the shortstop Gary DiSarcina.
And the starting pitcher for Texas, the veteran left-hander Kenny Rogers, 10-6, 4.32 is his ERA. 22nd game started for the left-hander, 153 hits, 148 innings. He's one of what I would call the big two starting pitchers for the Texas Rangers, Kevin Brown and, of course, Kenny Rogers. And as the manager said just a moment ago, these two guys are going to get the ball every chance possible between now and that strike date of August the 12th.
The outfield for Texas, Gonzalez, Greer, and Davis. The infield, Palmer, Beltre, Lee, and Clark. And Rodriguez is the catcher. Chad Curtis digs in. Big crowd. And Chad at 257, 10 homers, and 44 RBIs. The weather is surprisingly nice tonight. And I say that in the vein of being exceptionally cool for this time of year here in Dallas-Fort Worth.
It's not 100 with the humidity at about 95 is what you're saying, and that's what it normally is this time of year. And I would agree the weather is actually pretty pleasant here. And if it can be like this for the next couple of nights, I'll be thrilled.
So Chad Curtis up there against Rogers, who already has beaten the Angels this season with a great performance. And this one in the dirt. 81 degrees, the official game time temperature. Usually this time of the year here, you wouldn't be surprised if it was about 97, 98 this time of the evening.
And the temperature, they used to have that scoreboard in right field at the old ballpark with the temperature constantly displayed. It would normally still go up at this time of day.
Yeah. Sun going down, temperature going up.
Yeah. Be about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the second inning. It'd be about 101.
2 balls and 1 strike on Chad Curtis. Been doing a really fine job in that leadoff spot, which is the role he occupied when the season began. Boy, a lot of things are happening in baseball. Strike date. Seattle Mariners, victim of bad tile on their roof at the Kingdome. 3 balls and a strike. We'll be talking about it during the course of the evening, but a decision has been made regarding the Mariners' next homestand, which begins with the Angels. And the Mariners are going to have to play on the road, including the 3-game series scheduled for the Kingdome. It'll be at the Big A now. Here is the 3-1 pitch, and it's 3-2 on Curtis. And you have the strike date of August 12th also. There's the schedule update now. Next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the Angels will host the Mariners at the Big A. 7-7 and a 5:35 start on Thursday. The Tuesday and Thursday games right here on Channel 5. Strike 3 called. Chad Curtis called out on strikes.
You know, Chad, as a leadoff hitter, obviously has done a better job at trying to work the pitcher to the count, but this time he just takes too many pitches, takes a close pitch for call strike 3.
Here is Spike Owen. 302, 3 homers, 33 RBIs. They play him straight away as a right-handed hitter, and he sprays one into the crowd. 1 strike. So when you're looking at your pocket schedule or whatever kind of Angels schedule you have, and you see next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Angels at Seattle, you can come out to the Big A and see those games. Also, remember that those scheduled TV games Tuesday and Thursday, you still got them. Spike Owen thrown out by Beltre. 2 up, 2 down here in the opening inning. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the California Angels and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the California Angels is prohibited. We might also add that you'll not only see the Tuesday and Thursday games as scheduled here on Channel 5 with the Angels and Mariners next week, but when you come to the ballpark, every seat, $6. Well, what a bargain.
You don't have to bring as much cash.
Well, you bring the same amount of cash, and you can buy a hat and an extra hot dog.
That's right. $6 for a seat right behind the bench, right behind the dugout. I think that's great. People who don't get a chance to do that very often ought to try and take advantage of it.
2-0 on Jim Edmonds. 286 his average. 5 homers, 36 RBIs. Playing against the left-handed starter tonight here in Texas, Kenny Rogers. 2-1. Again, tickets for all 3 of those games, $6. They will go on sale tomorrow at all Ticketmaster outlets. The Angels charge line 714-663-9000, and the Angels box office gate 1 at the Big A. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Again, ticket prices for all seats throughout the stadium for each of the 3 games at the Big A with the Mariners next week will be $6 and sold on a reserved general admission basis only. So there you have the full story. Out of play, 2-2. You might ask, why are these games not being played in Tacoma, which is what the Mariners had wanted? Well, the league made the decision. That decision was made this afternoon by the American League. They made the announcement in New York not too long ago. They shade to left on Edmonds, and the count goes to 3-2. The Mariners, and I'm reading from the American League release, had requested that the homestand be moved to Tacoma to accommodate area fans, and whose players had voted unanimously to play in Tacoma. Instead, they'll all be played on the road. The move to Tacoma was not approved by the Players Association. Edmonds does not approve of that call by young umpire Ed Bean, and they go jaw to jaw. Edmonds called out on strikes, and the Angels in the opening inning here at the ballpark in Arlington go 1-2-3. Rangers, who like the Angels have been struggling lately, will come up against Andrew Lorraine. Their leadoff hitter will be Butch Davis, just brought up from Oklahoma City. Then the catcher, Ivan Rodriguez. Jose Canseco, the DH, hitting third. Batting cleanup for the Rangers, their first baseman, Will Clark. He'll be followed by left fielder Juan Gonzalez. Then Dean Palmer, he's the Texas third baseman. Rookie Rusty Greer will play center and hit seventh. Manuel Lee is the second baseman, and the shortstop and last man in the batting order, Esteban Beltre.
And making his second start in the major leagues, and of course his second start for the Angels, Andrew Lorraine. Lost his last start, went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 earned runs. But go back and look what he did at AAA this year. He was 9-3, and that is very much an offensive league. An outstanding ERA of 3.24, and I think Andrew would like to get back down to that kind of pitching as opposed to the pitching he did in his last start against New York.
The outfield for the Angels, Edmonds, Curtis, and Jackson in right, and that's a story. Owen, DeSarcina, Hudler, and Snow. The infield, Turner is the catcher.
I think the story you're talking about, Ken, Bo Jackson in right field, obviously for the first time this year, and it was just Marcel Lassman's thought that right field in this ballpark is easier to play defensively than left field, where there is more room. And of course, Bo's arm has never been a problem. That's why he's in right field.
This is Butch Davis, just up from Oklahoma City. Gary Reed is shelved again, and Lorraine throws a strike. Davis was hitting .297 at Oklahoma City, half a dozen homers, 37 RBIs. He's one of those fellas that has spent most of his career in the minor leagues. Last few seasons up with Texas. He sprays the ball into the crowd, and it's 0-2. You might recall Davis is a favorite of Texas manager Kevin Kennedy. Kennedy had him in the minor leagues, appreciated what he did for him there, and when Kennedy got the shot up here last season, he brought Davis from the minors, where he's played over 1,400 games. Owen at third, the long throw, plenty of time, and quickly Davis gone, beginning the Rangers first.
And it's always nice to see a guy who has spent 1,400 games in the minor leagues get a chance to play in the big leagues, because that's the only reason they're playing down there.
All-star catcher Ivan Rodriguez will step in. .299, 13 homers, 51 RBIs. And Lorraine back in with a strike. He got ahead of Davis through a couple of good pitches. Gets the first pitch over to Rodriguez.
And it's so true. Young pitchers, when they come up to the big leagues, they give the hitters too much credit. They try to be too fine. They end up pitching behind. They have to come in with too good a pitch, and they get hammered.
One ball, one strike.
Andrew Lorraine said to Marcel Lassman himself after his first start, if I had pitched like that at AAA, there's no way I would have been 9-3. I'd have been in AA. He knows what he's got to do to be successful. He's got to do what got him here. And just get used to the fact that he's in the big leagues right now. Don't give these guys too much credit.
Here's a fly ball to left. It's really deep. Edmonds back. He's into that corner. He's got the room, and he makes the catch under the 354-foot sign. And there are 2 outs. This is a fascinating ballpark that you'll see throughout the evening. Also, as Canseco steps up, the infield here is in very poor condition, and in any game it can be a factor. Canseco can always be a factor. Great numbers, 286, 27 homers, 4th in the league, 83 RBIs. And he takes a strike. So a good sign from Lorraine. First pitch, strike to each hitter.
You know, Canseco got thrown out of last night's ball game on a called third strike for arguing, and he had a quote in the paper today: "I'm not getting the same strikes as other players with similar years and experience." And to me, that's a statement that doesn't make any sense. And it's almost as if Canseco is looking for an excuse here. He's not getting the same strikes as other players with similar years and experience, as if there should be a different strike zone.
The premise is weak.
It's a very weak premise.
We know, in fact, there is some truth to his premise, but I don't think you want to base anything around that. 2 strikes on Canseco. I think you run the risk when you say something like that, especially when you're hitting 286 with 27 homers and 83 RBIs. You're sounding a bit like a crybaby. Like, well, you want it better than this? He chokes up on the bat with a 2-strike count against Andrew Lorraine. And it is 1-2.
You also run the risk of having other umpires perhaps read that story and say, "Oh, we're not treating you right. Well, we'll show you what it's like to be treated wrong." Because that kind of mentality does exist in a certain way as well.
Here's the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. One of the umpires that Canseco has really gotten into heated arguments with in recent months is here tonight. The third base umpire, Tim Sheeta. There's Tim. So in a 4-game series, yeah, he'll be behind the plate. Here's one rocketed to left. Canseco in his home run trot. It's way back deep, and this one is out of here. A home run for Jose Canseco, his 28th, and Andrew Lorraine in 8 1/3 innings has allowed 4 big league home runs.
Take a look at this pitch. Inside corner. He just turns on it. High fly ball with his kind of strength, and he can hit him out of any ballpark.
He just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger every time you see him, especially in the upper arms, upper body. 1-0 Texas. First inning. Will Clark, the batter. He takes ball 1. Will having a Will Clark kind of season. 2-0. After the home run, and remember Lorraine got ahead 0-2 on Canseco. He now comes back to Clark. Not only misses throwing a strike on the first pitch, but goes 2-0. And the pitch popped up back of the plate. Turner will give it just a glance, and it's out of play. You look at the 3, 4, and 5 Rangers hitters, Canseco, Clark, and Gonzalez, and you have to be in awe. Clark at 334, the 7th leading hitter in the league, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. You go over to the other league, you look at the Giants, Barry Bonds, Darryl Strawberry, Matt Williams. Pretty impressive trio, but I don't think you can take anything away from this threesome here in Texas.
I'll take these guys.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Will Clark, the long career in San Francisco. He was there with Matt Williams. Also the right-handed hitter. Well traveled.
For who? San Francisco?
That was with San Francisco. Our pal. It's with Cincinnati and
Kevin Mitchell.
Kevin Mitchell. They were quite a threesome when Mitchell was healthy and playing well with the Giants. Every once in a while you'll get that. Oh, when you're a pitcher and you look at the 3 fellas of that ilk, that's got to be tough.
Makes it a little more important to get out the guys ahead of them. You can't walk those guys.
3-2 on the way to Will Clark, and he looks at ball 4. Boy, you can just see how this inning has changed. Lorraine Got the first pitch over for a strike to Davis and Rodriguez. Got each of them. Got a 2-strike count on Canseco. Canseco battled. It went to 2-2. He hits a home run. Falls behind on Clark. Walks him. Just the inning has just swung completely.
One thing about Lorraine, when he got 3-2 on Clark, didn't give in to him. Tried to make a good pitcher's pitch, and he did lose him. But to me, that's not a bad sign.
278 Gonzalez's average, and he looks at a ball.
The 2-out walks are not what hurts you. It's the no-out walks.
Two-time American League home run champion Juan Gonzalez, and he's hot right now with a 6-game hitting streak. They really give him the right side, and why not? He's a pull hitter. A base hit to left. Stopping at second is Clark, and Gonzalez has a 7-game hitting streak.
This ball is out over the plate. It is up. Kind of a pitch that the right-hander is just going to kill you with.
2 on, 2 outs. A run in, and the Rangers first. They lead 1-0. This is Dean Palmer. Fouling it back. 1 strike.
Now, you talked about the big 3. You talk about Canseco, Clark, and Gonzalez. This guy right here up at the plate, Dean Palmer, is going to strike out. Make no mistake, he will strike out. But don't forget also, he's got home run power from foul line to foul line. 18 home runs, 51 RBIs. You make a mistake with this guy, he can hit it just as far as anybody in the lineup.
Got a bit of a hanger, looked like an off-speed breaking ball, but in, and that's a good pitch. Pitchers will say, hey, he's not going to do anything with it but yank it into the crowd foul.
You could throw that pitch to him all day and get him to swing and foul it off because he's not going to be able to wait on it. The only place he can hit that pitch is where he did hit it. Now with a count of 0-2, he can go to work on it.
The infield is very deep on Palmer. Clark at second and Gonzalez leading from first. Broken bat looper to center. A base hit. Will Clark around third. He'll score. Stopping at second is Gonzalez. It is 2-0 Texas. So Dean Palmer, who has been struggling, only 3 hits in his last 44 at-bats, gets a first inning single.
He gets the 0-2 count. He throws a breaking ball. It finds the middle of the plate. It is down. And what does he do? He breaks his bat and finds a way to get a base hit. And immediately out to the mound, as we see Clark scoring, is Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach, to talk a little bit to the young left-hander Andrew Lorraine.
Andrew Lorraine now in 3 big league appearances, covering 8 1/3 innings. Has for one thing given up 20 hits. He has also walked 7 in the 8 1/3 innings and also allowed 13 runs. The big leagues have not been kind, at least to this juncture, for the young Lorraine. And he faces another rookie here in center fielder Rusty Greer.
You're also talking about a young left-hander who really was rushed to the major league. Does that sound familiar? Pitchers get rushed. They rush them from A to AA, AA to AAA. In Lorraine's case, it was from A 1 year to AAA to the big leagues.
Greer having a good year at 309.
Not a lot of time to learn your craft, and this is a tough place to learn it.
Still 2 on, 2 outs. Fly ball right field. Bo Jackson just sort of walking back. He's got it, and that'll do it. But Texas puts 2 on the board. And after 1, 2-0 Rangers. On Friday, August the 5th, when the Angels host the White Sox, remember, group tickets must be purchased by noon the previous day. Game time that night, 7:05. First pitch to Chili Davis, leading off the second. Sock to center. Back is Greer. Way back to make the catch. That ball hit probably about 392, 93 feet from home plate. Crowd stirs as Bo Jackson steps up.
He can excite a place even on the road, let me tell you. He has that aura about him.
271, a dozen home runs, 40 RBIs. If you look at his at-bats, those are very impressive numbers. He has not had all that many at-bats. He takes a strike. He has been hurt by a lack of full mobility playing the outfield. There you see home runs per at-bats. One homer every 15 at-bats. You'll take that anytime. 2 strikes.
Figure a player goes to the plate about 4 times a ball game, so every 4 ball games he'd be hitting a home run. Divide that into 160 games. It's a 40 home run season. Give or take.
Close enough. The 0-2 pitch from Kenny Rogers. Swung on and missed. Bo goes down. Rogers has retired all 5 he has faced. He has struck out 3.
How many times have we seen Bo Jackson chase the high fastball, and here he does it again, just can't catch up to it. And believe me, all the scouts know it. It's in every scouting report that the visiting or the home teams are going to look at before they play the Angels.
But boy, if he catches up with it, look out when it happens.
That's true.
J.T. Snow pops up the first pitch. Here's Dean Palmer near the third baseline. He's got it. And as was the case in the opening inning, the Angels in the second go down 1-2-3. And they trail the Texas Rangers 2-0. His most trusted news team, Hal Fishman, Jan Carl, Larry McCormick, and Stu Nahan bring you LA's first choice for news at 10, Channel 5. Ken Wilson along with Ken Brett, bottom of the second at the ballpark in Arlington. The Angels are trailing it 2-0. And Andrew Lorraine delivers a strike to Manuel Lee. Manuel, the second baseman, 8th hitter in Kevin Kennedy's order. Canseco homered in the first with 2 outs, then a walk, a single, and a Dean Palmer base hit, adding a second run for the Rangers. Lee is switch hitter, and he looks at one high and away, and it's 1-1. 278, 1 home run, 31 RBIs for the ex-Toronto Blue Jay. The off-speed pitch, 1-2.
The Angels feel very strongly Lorraine has the stuff to be a big league pitcher. He's just got to go out and make the pitches. It's easier said than done. Marcel Latchman on your left, Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach, on your right. Both of them very well aware of what the young man can do. And I'm sure that bringing him up the way they did, they're going to have to show some patience.
There's a foul ball, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lorraine just 21. He will turn 22 on August the 11th. Southern California product. Ground ball. Oh, what a play! Snow's throw in time to retire Manuel Lee, and most likely take a double away from the Ranger. Wow, what a play!
Boy, we have said it so many times. What a great first baseman J.T. Snow is. He is not playing anywhere near the line. Look how far he's got to go, and he just gets this by the narrowest of measures. Loses the glove, loses the ball. Off balance throw is in time.
Oh, baby, what a play. That's as good a play as you'll see at first base.
There are very few first basemen who are going to make that play. You know, we've said all along what a great job he has done defensively. It was a perfect example. There are no better first basemen in the league.
Esteban Beltre. And he takes ball 1.
You know, people would say, well, how can you say that about J.T. Snow? He's been up so little. We've seen him for a couple years now, and I think if you see him for any period of time, you would agree with that statement. And I'm not taking anything away from the premier first baseman.
Beltre hits the ball to center. It's in the glove of Chad Curtis, 2 down.
There are a lot of good defensive first basemen in this league, and there's one on this team, Will Clark, Don Mattingly, John Olerud is good. There's a lot of good ones, and this guy is as good as any of them.
Defense, defense, defense. It'll really help you. Pretty hard to have real good pitching if you don't have solid defense. Here's Butch Davis. Grounded out to third in his first big league at bat this season. He cuts and misses, 1 strike.
And who's got the worst defense in the American League? The Texas Rangers.
Think where they would be with all the offense they seemingly have.
If their pitching was in the middle of the pack and their defense was in the middle of the pack, it'd be, see you later, we ran away and we hid.
Oh, they'd be long gone, wouldn't they? They have committed 95 errors. And just by far worst in the league. But look at this. 282 team average. That's 4th. But look at the ERA. 11th. Last in the league in errors. Tells it all. With their offense, they should win a lot of games. Right center, drifting back is Hudler. It's his. He's got it. And Lorraine bounces back from a shaky first to set down the Rangers in order in the second. Arlington and the 3 women enjoying dinner there, sitting right out in front of one of the suites. The Rangers have a 2-0 lead. The 3rd inning, Hudler, Turner, DeSarcina for the Angels against Kenny Rogers. His first pitch is there for a strike. Hudler showing bunt. Hudler is a make things happen kind of ball player, hitting 301, 8 home runs, 20 RBIs. Playing second base tonight. Certainly hasn't played much second base for quite a while. And he fouls that one 0-2.
I think it's just a question of Damian Easley working on some things offensively before the ball game with Rod Carew, and they want that to sink in. They're just moving Harold Reynolds and Rex Hudler, getting some at bats for them in the hopes that Damian will come around.
Slow curve. It freezes Hudler. He barks at Ed Bean, the plate umpire. Already 4 strikeouts for Kenny Rogers.
3 of the strikeouts have been called third strike. I mean, this ball's got tremendous break on it. That's a good pitch. That's the best pitch I think he's thrown all night.
You can understand why a right-handed hitter would have a tendency to quit. and even if he said, well, I never quit on it, you probably never hit it anyway. Chris Turner takes the ball. Boy, Turner has really lifted his average. He's up to 233, 1 homer, 10 RBIs. Of course, you remember he was way under 200, but he has had a stretch that has been remarkable. 1 strike. His last 35 at bats, he has 17 hits. So if you want to look at it another way, you can go 13 hits in his first 94 and then 17 in his last 33. Any way you want to slice it, he has been a hot hitter. 1-2. Kenny Rogers has started this game, Ken, like there might not be a lot of hot hitters for the Angels tonight.
You took the words right out of my mouth. So far, this ball game has been all Kenny Rogers.
There's a liner to left, racing in and making the catch is Gonzalez, and they're 2 away in the 3rd.
Kenny Rogers, when he's on, has the stuff to shut you down. 16 wins last year, ERA last year 4.10. It's up a little bit this year. Good fastball, good breaking ball as we saw to Hudler. Has a split finger type of pitch, which is what he threw to Chris Turner. And he's got pretty good control.
DeSarcina ready to bunt, takes a strike. .261. His average has been sinking. 3 homers, 30 RBIs. Oh, and 2. There's Kevin Kennedy in his 2nd season. Frustrated, as he told us at the outset of our telecast, by all the injuries.
And I would think managing is like a day off for him with guys like Kenny Rogers on the mound, who has been probably his best pitcher.
The curveball tapped towards short, cut off by Palmer. The throw in time. Boy, Palmer got a very bad bounce on an infield that has been labeled terrible. The Angels go 1-2-3 for the third straight inning. And here in Arlington, they trail Texas 2-0. Against rookie southpaw Andrew Lorraine. Rodriguez, Canseco, and Clark. First pitch, a ball. Rodriguez fly deep to left in the opening inning. Going to look at some other scores in the American League. This ball hit high down the right field line, and it is curving foul. Just foul down the line. Rodriguez hitting .298. Out of play, 1-2. So Boston gets a win in New York after a loss. They completed last night's suspended game. New York won it in 11-4-3, and then the 1-0 victory for Boston in the regularly scheduled game at Yankee Stadium. The only run in that game, Tom Brunansky's 8th home run, came off Scott Kamenecki, who was beaten by Joe Hesketh. And then, of course, Detroit winning in 11 over Seattle at Tiger Stadium. That was decided on Mickey Tettleton's 15th homer of the year, a 2-run shot in that 11th. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ivan Rodriguez. You think Seattle's getting tired of the road yet, Ken?
They haven't begun to get tired of the road. I wonder if they let them go home to change clothes.
Now they were at home against Baltimore, had a few days off when the tiles fell. Then they went to Boston to play a series that was supposed to be at the Kingdom.
And then from Boston to Detroit.
Now they go to Chicago.
From Chicago to Anaheim.
Right, which is supposed to be a home series. Today it was moved to Anaheim next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here's a long one. Rodriguez is tagged. The 2-2 pitch down the line and gone. Number 14 for Ivan Rodriguez. 3-0 Texas.
The home run starting to loom very large here for Andrew Lorraine. He has given up 5 home runs now. And that one was a shot by Rodriguez. The only question is, was it fair? Breaking ball, and he just hangs it.
Single season high for Rodriguez. Most home runs in a season ever by a Ranger catcher, 14. And Canseco moves back, ball 1. 3-0 Texas. Canseco hit his 28th home run in the first inning. Here's a long one to left. Edmonds wondering, and now watching. It's out of here. Back-to-back home runs, beginning the Rangers' third from Ivan Rodriguez and Jose Canseco. Canseco, who has been struggling the last week or so, circles the bases for the second time this evening. Home run number 29, and the Rangers have a 4-0 lead.
Boy, it just seems like every time he leaves a pitch over the plate or gets a pitch up, they are just killing it. Canseco now 29 home runs on the season. I mean, that looked like to me a batting practice fastball. Like he just laid it in there almost as if maybe he threw him a changeup, but he gave it away. That pitch had nothing on it.
Will Clark walked in the first inning, eventually scored on Dean Palmer's single. There's the curve for a strike. In 9 2/3 innings in the big leagues, Lorraine has already given up 6 home runs. 22 hits, 16 runs. Well, that's tough. 16 runs in 9 2/3 innings. The 1-1 to Clark. He hits the ball to left. This one relatively softly by comparison. And Edmonds makes the catch. 1 out in the 3rd. Ken, you talked a couple of times about the tough situation young Andrew Lorraine is in. Not much pro experience, pitching in the big leagues at 21. I mean, you obviously speak from experience. You pitched in a World Series when you were a teenager.
And I wasn't ready to do it. That was just adrenaline. But, I look back on the early part of my career when I was in the big leagues, and believe me, I had no right being there. I had a great arm, but I had the faintest idea of how to pitch. And I'm sure Lorraine has a much better idea of how to pitch than I did at 19 in the big leagues. It takes a couple years to learn. And unfortunately, he has not gotten the time to learn, and we are seeing the price he is paying.
1 strike on Juan Gonzalez. Now 0-2. What do you imagine goes through his mind? I know I talked to him after the start the other night, the next day in Anaheim. Now he's back. What goes through his mind at this point?
I think you begin to doubt yourself. That's the first thing you say. You say to yourself, what am I doing out here? It seems like every time I make a mistake in the big leagues is going 400 feet. He knows he's given up 6 home runs, and he's no dummy out there. And it takes something away from you as a pitcher. And obviously, as a pitcher, you need confidence to be successful.
Big hop at third. Owens throw. 2 outs.
Hey, he made it to first that time.
Must have a bad hamstring.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've said it before. And here's a guy who makes $5 million a year, and he cannot run to first base. He should be ashamed of himself. I've never seen a guy in the league that runs slower to first base or just doesn't hustle than Gonzalez.
2 outs. The batter is Dean Palmer, and he Tommy Hawks 1 to third. That's a difficult play. Oh, nice play by Spike Owen.
And he ran to first base.
After home runs from Rodriguez and Canseco, Clark, Gonzalez, and Palmer go in order. Park in Arlington, Curtis, Owen, and Edmonds. The Angels have not had a base runner against 10-game winner Kenny Rogers. Chad took a called 3rd strike in the first inning. 4 of the Angels' 9 have struck out. And there's ball 1. I'm sure most of you are aware the Angels lost the last 6 games on their homestand. 4 to the Yanks, 2 to the A's. Right on the heels of a 3-game winning streak. High fly right center. Rusty Greer over there. Davis could have gotten there. Greer has it all the way. And Rogers has retired the first 10 that he has faced. So consequently, the Angels have lost 6 of 9. Not great, but you know what? The Rangers have lost 6 of their last 9 also.
So what you're saying is if the Angels had won 6 of 9 instead of losing 6 of 9, they would find themselves 3.5 games out of first place with a 4-game series starting tonight.
One very good point, yeah.
And if they had won 3 of the 4, they'd find themselves 1.5 games out of first place.
And another point being, the Rangers may be in first place, but they don't exactly look like world beaters.
The team that looks like it's going to win the West is Oakland. They have been playing the best baseball in the American League, not the West, in the American League since the middle of June. And right now they are getting the best pitching, and if they continue to get the best pitching, they will probably pass the Rangers, who have pitching problems. And Ken, that gets back to what Kevin Rogers said in the opening of the broadcast. He said the number one thing that Texas has to do to win this division is to stay healthy. Didn't mention anything about defense and didn't mention anything about pitching. They're last in defense. I would have thought he would have said we need to get Pavlik back. We need to get Brown healthy. We need to go to a minimum 4-man rotation between now and that projected question mark strike date. And we also need to catch the ball better. Didn't say either of those things, which kind of surprised me.
They've talked a lot about injuries here. I believe they've used the disabled list 22 times. Spike Owen pops one up out in left field. Beltre, the shortstop. 2 outs. Now that the strike date has been set for Friday, August the 12th, at least everybody has a little bit better sense of the future. Granted, there could be a settlement before August 12th. I think you and I would agree that's extremely unlikely. No, impossible?
Well, I think everything that's happened up to this point has been very predictable based on the history of these type of negotiations.
So we feel confident there'll be a strike beginning August the 12th.
I'd bet heavily.
First pitch to Jim Edmonds is a strike.
And I'm not saying that because I want to strike. I don't think either of us want to strike because, correct me if I'm wrong, we're on the picket lines. We're out.
we're flat out somewhere.
Yeah, we want to work. We enjoy working. We want to work. I'm not saying the players don't enjoy working, but you know their grievances are different. We don't have any. You and I don't have any grievances.
We're very happy. Very, very, very happy. Very pleased. But there could be a strike. The date is set August the 12th.
I love your optimism.
Could be. Well, there isn't a strike until it starts. Potential strike. Alleged strike. At second base, Manuel Lee over to Will Clark. Angels go in order, and Kenny Rogers is perfect through 4 innings. And the Rangers lead 4-0. Baco, Clark, Rodriguez, Palmer, boy, they've got some bats, and they have been hitting Lorraine in the early going. Greer leading off the 4th, fouls the first pitch into the crowd. Rusty ended the 2-run first by flying to right. Oh, and 2. They recently had to really make a decision between Rusty Greer and David Holtz, who we had seen last year and earlier this year. And Kevin Kennedy said, hey, you know, David's been here, nice guy, plays well, but Rusty Greer deserves to be our center fielder and be on this ball club.
You talk to the people from the Texas organization, they think that Rusty Greer deserves some serious consideration for the Rookie of the Year. 309, 8 home runs, 39 RBIs. The only guy I think that would compete for the Rookie of the Year, based on what I have seen this year so far, is Chris Gomez of Detroit.
Did he go around? No. 1 and 2. 2 and 2.
I would like to think that Jim Edmonds is in that group, but I think he's just a notch or 2 below.
Highest average among rookies with 200 plate appearances. Young man from Alabama, Rusty Greer. At strike 3. And Lorraine has strikeout number 1. Well, coming up, a lot of games at the Big A, and on Saturday, August the 6th, when the Angels host the always tough White Sox, the first 20,000 of you will receive a durable nylon sports bag with an adjustable strap and the Angels logo, all compliments of Sport Mart and Rawlings. Swing and a miss by Manuel Lee. Again, if you missed it, the Major League Baseball Players Association today setting a strike date for Friday, August the 12th. Major League Baseball had a reaction. Here's a fly to right. Jackson giving chase. Doesn't have to go far. And there are 2 outs.
Was it the typical predictable reaction?
I'll let you be the judge. Bud Selig, chairman of the Major League Executive Council, said this, and we are quoting, "We're disappointed that the union today deemed it necessary to set a strike date. All this does is raise the anxiety level of our fans. Although both sides at the moment are far apart, we believe we can resolve our differences at the negotiating table. We have submitted a fair and reasonable proposal to the union and remain open to any new ideas that address our concerns regarding the need to change the economic structure of the game." I guess Donald Fear then replied the same old rhetoric.
And the next meeting's probably scheduled for about the 10th.
Yeah. That's America.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff in the paper today about the strike, and the most important time before a strike is 1 minute to 12. That's when things usually happen, but I think not this time.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Beltre, who flied out his first trip. Rangers lead 4-0. The bases are empty, and there are 2 outs in the 4th. Boy, it always seems in the United States, and I believe it's different in some other cultures, that when it comes to negotiating and getting things settled or differences settled, the last few moments, that's when it all happens. Beltre is gone. Lorraine has a 1-2-3 4th. And on to the 5th in Texas. 4-0 Rangers. No other station covers Southern California quite like LA's first choice for News at 10, Channel 5. Chili Davis will try to become the Angels' first base runner as he leads off the 5th against Kenny Rogers. And there's ball 1. Chili led off the 2nd inning and fly deep to Rusty Greer in center. Chili has gotten a lot of walks. He's had a very high on base percentage all season, as well as his high average. And if there's anybody on this club, he's apt to take some pitches, make something happen. Here he bounds one to third, and Palmer throws him out. So much for that third.
I want you to notice one thing about that last sequence we just saw, the play at first base. Notice how hard Chili was running. Now, Chili Davis is a professional. Approaches this game as a professional. Has pride in his game, and he always hustles. Now what? This is a routine ground ball to third base. He's going to be out 99 times out of 100. But yet, watch. I mean, he's busting to get to first base. Keep that in mind.
Bo Jackson struck out in the 2nd inning. Are you setting up Juan Gonzalez's next at bat?
I'd like to see him hit a routine ground ball as next, or better yet, a routine fly ball. I think it's just such an embarrassment when you don't hustle, because it's the easiest thing that you can do as a baseball player. You don't have to be a genius with an IQ of 150 to put the uniform on and run hard to first base. I think it's the easiest thing to do, and it's the easiest thing to notice if you're a fan when they don't hustle.
1 ball, 1 strike on Bo.
But I know our IQs, probably average out to be what?
Well,
60, 70?
Let's put it this way. I was impressed that you seem to know what number is a high IQ.
Yeah. And I know you went to college and graduated.
1 and 2.
So I know you're way up there.
Oh, yeah. That's
and a fine college it was. What was it, University of Michigan?
That's a deduction that you obviously have to make.
And, of course, our esteemed boss, Mr. Joe Quasarano, in the truck right now, also University of Michigan. So I am surrounded by intelligence.
Yes, and we're intelligent enough to be even more impressed by the fact while we were studying, you were pitching in a World Series. That's not lost on us. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Bo Jackson. And now 2 and 2. 150. That's a good IQ.
I'd be happy to have it.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't want to do anything different than I'm doing right now. Don't get me wrong.
Are you suggesting that you don't need a high IQ for this job?
I don't think it's absolute.
Okay.
I think you have to be intelligent, but not a genius.
The 2-2 to Bo Jackson. Oh, he goes fishing big time. Same thing he did, just a different location in the 2nd inning.
Bo's the kind of a hitter that's aggressive, and if you get ahead of Bo, you can make him swing at a bad pitch. Look at that. That pitch is a foot, maybe almost a foot and a half outside. I mean, you can't hit that. You just can't hit it.
Kenny Rogers has retired the first 14 hitters in this contest.
So he's halfway there to a perfect game.
JT Snow looks at a curve for a ball. Remember, JT has been hitting exceptionally well lately and has had some success. 6 out of 10 against Rogers. Went 0 for 4 yesterday, stopping an 11-game hitting streak. Off speed again, and it is 2-0.
Ken, I go back and I look at my career, and I don't like to talk about my career very often because it was kind of a mishmash career, but I think about the difference here between an Andrew Lorraine and a Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers obviously knows what he's doing on the mound. Changes speeds, moves the ball around, knows other hitters' weaknesses. I remember a game that I was pitching in 1970 against the Baltimore Orioles and Mike Cuellar. Now, if you remember Mike Cuellar, oh, what a craftsman he was. And at the end of 4 innings, the score was 4-0 Baltimore, and I was ready for a shower. The scoreboard totals: Baltimore 4 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. The Boston Red Sox, no runs, 4 hits, and no errors. We had given up the same number of hits. It's just that I, for some reason, had given up 4 runs.
Ball hit to center field. Greer to retire the side.
And that's the difference between throwing and pitching.
This one goes to the bottom of the 5th, all Texas. In Pavilion on Friday, August the 5th, when the Angels host the White Sox. Remember, fans, group tickets must be purchased by noon the previous day. Game time 7:05. Rangers 5th, leadoff hitter Butch Davis against Andrew Lorraine, and it's ball 1. Well, what do we know here? We know the Rangers lead at 4-0. The other thing we know is that through 5 innings, Kenny Rogers on the hill for Texas is perfect.
Andrew Lorraine, through 4 innings, has had 2 3-up, 3-down innings, and then the other innings he has given up 3 home runs.
3 solo home runs. The other run scored by Will Clark back in the 1st, and he walked. The story told there. Ground ball is short. He's Sarcina. And Davis is retired. We talked a little bit about the infield. There's Kenny Rogers keeping that arm in shape and warm.
I'm sure that even after 5 innings, he's saying to himself, nobody's gotten on base. You start thinking about it, believe me. What you try not to do is let it affect the way you go out there and approach the job.
When you look at the infield from our various shots as Rodriguez steps up, you will see some brown spots, some bare spots. The Rangers have really been complaining about the infield. Of course, the field is relatively new. Rodriguez hits it out of play, foul, 1 strike, and they've changed the grass a little bit, but it's been a tough situation all season long. And what happens is the ground balls, and I've seen one to Dean Palmer at third, tend to change directions.
Yeah, this is an infield that's very hard, and you see a lot of bad bounces and a lot of bad hops here. And the groundskeeper here is a good groundskeeper, and I think that he probably feels as bad as anybody, probably worse.
That ball skims off the dirt, and Owen throws out Rodriguez.
As far as the condition of the field, the groundskeeper is probably a little embarrassed. And what they evidently had done, they had planted some ryegrass or some Bermuda grass, and then they were going to replant it with rye, or the rye was just going to take over. One of those two was just going to take over, and it didn't take. And obviously that's why we have all the bare spots. But you go back to the ballpark right next door that they haven't torn down yet. That infield was outstanding. The outfield was outstanding. It's the same groundskeeper. It just didn't work, and they haven't been able to do anything about it.
Canseco with a pair of home runs, and he takes ball 1 from Lorraine. Apparently, is it the Bermuda grass did not root enough, and it's going to take more time to root, apparently, or something like that. We're not agronomists, I know that.
I know it was rye that they originally put in, and it was supposed to reroot, or they were supposed to replant or mix in some Bermuda, and the Bermuda did not take. And that's why we have such a spotty situation in the infield.
For those who don't know, rye is a type of liquor, Bermuda is an island. And they're also grasses, right? So that's all we can tell you. The infield's bad. 3 balls, no strikes on Canseco. Up in the 5th with 2 outs and nobody on. And the fans want to see Canseco hit his 3rd consecutive home run. And, well, they're unhappy because Lorraine has not thrown a strike in this at-bat.
You better not just lay one in right here, because I guarantee you he's got the green light. Look at the target, down and away.
That's a 3-0 strike there. Lorraine has retired every Texas hitter since Canseco hit his 29th homer to make it 4-0 in the 3rd. Curtis into left center. And for Lorraine, 9 in a row retired. On the other side, Kenny Rogers will come to the middle of the diamond, having retired 15 straight. Will receive a durable nylon sports bag with an adjustable strap and the Angels logo, thanks to Sport Mart and Rawlings. Hope you'll be there. Rex Hudler leads off in the 6th inning and takes ball 1 from Kenny Rogers. We mentioned Rogers with 10 victories. He went into the All-Star break with 10. He's working on a no-hitter. There have been 4 in Rangers history. The last by Nolan Ryan in 91. He had one in 90. And then in the 70s, Jim Bibby and our pal Bert Blyleven each threw no-hitters for the Texas Rangers. Rogers has a ways to go yet. There's a pop-up back of the plate. This one will be out of play. 1-2. Going into the All-Star break, the left-hander won 8 of his last 10 decisions. So he's come out of the All-Star break losing 2. But actually pitched very, very well in his last start. This one is a gapper. A long run for Gonzalez, and he makes the catch. So the Angels have really not come close to much of anything against Rogers, so that got the hearts beating a little quickly here with the Rangers fans.
Yeah, you look back at the Angel offense in this ball game, and I wouldn't say there's been one play, not even a ground ball, that has been close to going in the hole, and there really haven't been any tough plays defensively, and that was not a tough play defensively.
And we would probably agree that's the closest the Angels have come to a hit right there. Chris Turner lined to left in the 3rd. He dances away from that pitch, ball 1. This now, with the decision by the American League today regarding the Mariners and the Kingdom, has turned into a 3-game road trip for the Angels. Here's a pop-up right side. Will Clark says, I've got it. 2 outs, and Rogers has set down the first 17 Angels he has faced. So the Angels will go home and start what effectively becomes a 9-game homestand Tuesday night, playing 3 with Seattle, 3 with Chicago, and 3 with Kansas City. And there is the schedule update. The games in Seattle have been moved to Anaheim Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. Thursday will be an earlier start. Comebacker from DeSarcina, and perfect through 6 innings is the Texas Rangers' Kenny Rogers. And the crowd here giving him a standing ovation as he walks off the mound. The Rangers lead the Angels 4-0. Here it is. Who are the only 2 pitchers to lead 2 different teams in career strikeouts? Well, we know, because we're in Texas, one of them is Nolan Ryan.
That's the easy one.
That's the easy one.
And we're also thinking about guys who struck out a lot of people in their careers. And I think we both agreed that Steve Carlton could be one. And you came up with a sleeper.
Jim Bunning. Tigers and Phillies. I'm going to go with those 3. You and I combined. We'll go with Ryan, Carlton, and Bunning. And if we get 2 out of 3, we win.
Well, they only want 2.
I know. So we're giving them an extra one. It's a bonus. A bonus answer. Will Clark, 6th inning against Andrew Lorraine. The man with maybe the prettiest swing in the game fouls it away, 1 strike. Will walked in the 1st and scored. Fly to left in the 3rd.
Yeah, Will Clark coming off a couple of subpar seasons, at least subpar for him in San Francisco. And I think with some physical restraints in order up there in San Francisco, he was not re-signed because obviously he was the kind of a guy that was going to get a lot of money. He got the money here. He has done an outstanding job for the Texas Rangers, and I think one of the reasons is he got himself back in shape physically. Went down to, I think that guy is Mackie Shillestone. He's either in New Orleans or where? Phoenix?
New Orleans.
Went down there, and you work hard. That guy evidently can get you in shape. If you want to pay the price, he will get you there.
Detroit beating Seattle. Yankees win the suspended game from last night over Boston. And then Boston on a Tom Brunansky home run, winning the regularly scheduled game in the Bronx.
Maybe you and I should go down to New Orleans on August the 12th. Get in shape.
If you're willing to pay the price, it can be done. We know that, don't we? 2-2 pitch, and it is 3-2. Mackie Shillestone is quite well known among physical fitness buffs, and he is truly a nutritionist. Will Clark, I think, helped bring Mackie Shilstone to the forefront a few years ago. Shilstone also got some notoriety with some professional boxers. 3-2 pitch, cut on and missed, and Lorraine strikes out Will Clark.
Second strikeout for young Andrew. He has retired 10 in a row since the Canseco home run in the third inning.
The good news for you, Ken, is I do know Mackie Shilstone pretty well.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. He is the physical fitness guru and nutritionist for the St. Louis Blues, and I see him all winter long. He's been smart enough not to say anything about my body, but I can set you up with him if you'd like to pay the price. Up the middle, a base hit. Juan Gonzalez has his second hit. Like his hit in the first inning, a single, and he's 2 for 3.
Well, I guess I didn't get my routine ground ball to short, huh? Well, it's a long series. We'll get one.
You just want to see him walk to first, don't you, on that ground ball? 1 out, and here is Dean Palmer. RBI single in the first, grounded to third his next time up. Owen made a very good play to retire him, and there's ball 1. 4 for his last 46. Yes, he is struggling. The Angels looking for 2 here. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Angels trail it here in the 6th inning, 4-0. Texas got 2 in the first and 2 in the third. Lorraine had retired 10 in a row prior to the Gonzalez single. Two balls and a strike. The Rangers with 6 hits, 3 of them home runs. And they are generally a home run hitting team. They had been held to only 1 home run in the last 5 games. So they break out with 3 tonight against Lorraine. Two balls, 2 strikes. Action in the bullpen. Russ Springer.
Of course, the bullpen yesterday for the Angels got some work, and I saw Joe McGrain at 98 pitches. Of course, when your starting pitcher cannot get out of the first inning, you've got to go down there for the other 8+.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Dean Palmer. Andrew Lorraine has settled down and pitched quite nicely since Rodriguez and Canseco began the third with back-to-back homers to make it 4-0. Experience, experience, experience. And he is getting it here in the big leagues. Palmer pops it up. Drifting into the outfield is DeSarcina. And there is out number 2.
Saw something I like right there. Andrew Lorraine changing speeds, and he had Palmer out on his front foot, took all his power away. And that's a pretty good idea of what pitching is all about. Hitting is timing, and pitching is really just taking away the hitter's timing.
The Stanford product ready to go to work on Rusty Greer. Greer is flying to right and taking a called third strike. Lorraine has walked 1 and struck out 2. 1 strike. The first time the Angels were here at the ballpark in Arlington, they took 2 out of 3. They also took 2 out of 3 in a previous series in Anaheim. Thus, the Angels have been pretty successful against this team with a 4-2 record. No balls, 2 strikes.
And if Texas has had a problem with anybody this year, it is the American League West. They are 6 wins, 14 losses versus the West.
2-4 against the Angels, 3-4 against Oakland, and 1-6 against Seattle. 300 ball against your own division. Texas, between now and the strike date of August the 12th, plays Chicago here, goes to Oakland, and then will play Seattle here. They got the big series with Oakland. Strike 3 called. Greer called out on strikes. Lorraine picks up his 3rd strikeout, and through 6 innings, Texas on top, 4-0. A huge story. He has not allowed a base runner as he prepares to go to work in the 7th inning. All 9 Angels are 0 for 2. Chad Curtis cuts and misses. Chad is struck out and flied to center. Spike Owen on deck, and then Jim Edmonds. One ball, 1 strike. There's the story. Two and one. The only other outing that Rogers had against the Angels this season was at the Big A, June 24th. Complete game. He allowed 1 run on 6 hits. Beat Chuck Finley, who had a complete game also. The final was 2-1 Texas. So in 15 innings against the Angels this season, he's allowed 1 run, 6 hits. Strike called. 2-2. The only run the Angels have against Rogers this season came in the 2nd inning of that game late in June at the Big A. Singles from Davis, Jackson, and J.T. Snow. And J.T. Snow's hit that drove in the only run off Rogers, an infield single. A full count on Chad Curtis. There haven't been too many 3-ball counts.
Boy, you and I are thinking alike tonight, because I'm thinking to myself, how many 3-ball counts has he had? Maybe 1?
Given the circumstances, this is a very big pitch from Kenny Rogers to Chad Curtis.
He has made 64 pitches up to this point. 6+ innings and 64 pitches. Pretty conservative right there. Of course, he's got a 4-0 lead here. It's a tough situation you find yourself in as a pitcher right here.
Here's a bouncer. Palmer on the run, and plenty of time to retire Chad Curtis. Kenny Rogers perfect through 6 1/3.
And the reason I say that is, as a pitcher on a mound, you say to yourself, boy, I got a perfect game. And in the back of your mind, that becomes a little more important as the game gets a little bit closer to being over. But at the same time, you're saying to yourself as a pitcher, I'm in a pennant race. I'm up 4-0. Most important thing is to win the game. Now, if I can win the game and pitch a perfect game or a no-hitter, boy, oh boy, how great would that be? But I'm not going to pitch around guys, or I'm not going to try to throw the perfect pitch to a Chad Curtis and lose walking him. I still want to maintain that aggressiveness, and he did right there.
So Kenny Rogers bidding for his 11th win. He has 5 complete games in his 21 starts, trying to break a 2-game losing streak. We mentioned he's 1-0 against the Angels this season, 4-1 lifetime. Spike Owen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Spike has kept Esteban Beltre busy with a ground ball and a pop-up to the shortstop. Two and one on the Angels' third baseman with Jim Edmonds on deck. The game is in the 7th. Nobody on base, 1 out. 4-0 Rangers. Three and one.
So back-to-back 3-ball counts, and once again you have to ask yourself the question: do I want to be aggressive here? I've got a 4-0 lead, or do I want to, try to make a real good pitch? I would think fastball, and I think if you've got the good control, you throw the fastball down and away.
3-2.
And I would think in this situation, if you're thinking about maybe, well, boy, I'm so close to a no-hitter, you might throw a breaking ball in this situation, 3-2 or 3-1. I think he's going to throw the fastball again.
The 29-year-old has to go 3-2 here to Spike Owen. Fly ball left field. Gonzalez back, a lot of room. He's got it, 2 down. This crowd really getting into it. Boy, Saturday night, be sure to tune in right here on KTLA Channel 5. Of course, the Angels have been on KTLA for 30 years. Our pal Dick Enberg, longtime voice of the Angels, will host California Angels 30 years on KTLA. A great special. It'll be on Saturday night after Angels baseball. Boy, that's going to be a lot of fun. I hope everybody is ready to watch that Saturday night. We'll be on the air Saturday at 5:30 from here in Texas, and then the special right after the game. Jim Edmonds spoils the first pitch, strike 1. Jim has been called out on strikes, grounded to second. 2 down in the 7th. The Angels have not had a base runner. Fastball, strike, 0-2. So Kenny Rogers, who first pitched in the big leagues with the Rangers in 1989, won 16 last season, is really rolling. The curve, 1-2. If you go back a year on the calendar, 20 victories in 1 year. And the Floridian back in 1-2. And the count still a ball, 2 strikes.
Unfortunately, that's not how they count those 20-game seasons. It's usually April to April.
All has to be in the same calendar year.
But I think it's an indication of how far the left-hander has come. 1993 was the first year that Kenny Rogers was in the starting rotation from day one. He'd always done a little bit of both for Texas.
2 balls, 2 strikes. This crowd pulling for Kenny Rogers on every pitch. And it is a huge crowd here at the ballpark in Arlington. Outfield shaded to left. 3-2. So in this inning, Ken, the 7th, we're getting well into it. Rogers has had tougher counts, thrown more pitches.
3-ball, 2-strike counts. Sooner or later, he's going to give up a base hit if he keeps pitching like this.
Here's the 3-2. Rogers to Edmonds. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. The crowd on its feet roaring as Kenny Rogers here in his home ballpark has a perfect game through 7 innings. Kings and White Sox. Remember, group tickets must be purchased by noon the previous day. Game time 7:05. Manuel Lee leads off the 7th. And Andrew Lorraine, who has really come on since the early innings, throws a strike. He has retired 12 of the last 13 Rangers to face him.
I'm sure his confidence is a lot better now than it was in the 3rd inning after he gave up those back-to-back home runs to Rodriguez and Canseco. And a lot of times, Ken, it doesn't take that long to turn around the confidence. I'm not saying he's supremely confident out there right now. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he feels a lot better than he did in the third inning.
He has thrown 60 strikes of 87 pitches. 60 strikes, 27 balls. And he strikes out Manuel Lee. So he is throwing strikes and getting more effective as the game goes on.
This is the kind of a start that after the ball game, Marcel Ashman might say, Andrew Lorraine himself might say, hey, I might have lost this ball game. Right now the Angels losing 4-0 with 2 at-bats left, but I feel a lot better about my progress as a pitcher. And I think that next time out, I think it's going to be a lot better.
Esteban Beltre fouls it. 1 strike. Beltre is flied to center and grounded to short. Four nothing. Texas in the 7th. Owen at third is even with a bag. Everybody else back. 1-1.
I know one thing he appears to be doing a little better job of, and that's getting the ball inside to the right-handed hitters.
Two and one. For those of you who might just be joining us, the American League ruled late today that the Seattle Mariners, with their Kingdome problems, are going to be on the road again. They'll be hosted by the Angels, the Kansas City Royals, and Texas Rangers from August 2nd to August 10th. They were supposed to have a homestand. And reading from an American League press release, the Mariners' plan to play games at Tacoma's Cheney Stadium was not approved by the Major League Baseball Players Association. Here's the 3-1. And a walk to Beltre. 2 walks for Lorraine, 4 strikeouts. This walk comes with 1 out in the 7th inning. The American League release goes on to say the Major League Players Association did not approve of the Mariners playing in Tacoma because of objections by the players to visiting Tacoma's minor league park. Butch Davis, 3 times retired without getting the ball out of the infield. The Mariners had requested that their homestand be moved to Tacoma. 1, to accommodate fans up in the Puget Sound area, but I'm sure also just to get the players home.
Tough to be on the road for a long time. And they are going to be on the road until it's over.
They have an update on the Kingdome. It says work to remove ceiling tiles in the roof of Seattle's Kingdome is expected to be completed by August 10th. New acoustical treatments and lighting are being evaluated to ensure that both will meet Major League standards. As soon as league approval is given, the Mariners' subsequent homestands will be played in Seattle as originally scheduled. Thus, a hint of some optimism.
August 10th is awful close to that August 12th strike day, though, isn't it? Yeah.
You have a sense for the importance.
Yeah.
Marcel Latchman finding out during practice before the game that the Angels would get 3 extra home games. Tuesday, August 2nd, Wednesday, August 3rd, Thursday, August 4th. Angels against Ken Griffey and the Mariners at the Big A. Swing and a miss. 2-1. Again, we remind you that, boy, it's a terrific opportunity to see Big League Baseball for $6. That's right. Tickets for all seats throughout Anaheim Stadium for each of the 3 games moved from Seattle to Southern California will be $6 and sold on a reserved general admission basis only starting tomorrow. The tickets go on sale at all Ticketmaster outlets. The Angels charge line at area code 714-663-9000. And also at the Angels box office located at Gate 1 at Anaheim Stadium. That's starting tomorrow morning. You can see Ken Griffey and the Mariners again next week at Anaheim Stadium. Here's a fly ball to center off the bat of Butch Davis. Curtis with the catch, 2 away, and back to first goes Beltre. Time called. Marcel Latchman coming out. He'll go to the mound and meet Turner, the catcher, and Lorraine, the pitcher, there. And already the Angels have decided they are going to go to the bullpen. And the outing for Andrew Lorraine will be his longest in the big leagues, 6 2/3 innings. And Andrew Lorraine, after the 2 home runs to begin the third that made it 4-0, pitched well. Change on the mound. Will return after these messages.
Runs did not pitch badly tonight. 97 pitches, 3 home runs. He gave up 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and only the 6 hits. I think he took a step in the right direction in this ball game, and I think Andrew will be the first to agree with that. But the new pitcher for the Angels here in the bottom of the 7th is the big right-hander Russ Springer. Springer, 13th ball game, 2-2 with 1 save, and he'll be facing the catcher Ivan Rodriguez with a runner on first base and 2 men out. Of course, the big story in this ball game is the fact that the starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers through 7 innings has faced 21 Angels, and 21 have gone back to the dugout. He has not allowed a base runner. He has a perfect game through 7.
Russ Springer has become a bit of a story himself. His last start was against Baltimore, July 17th at the Big A. His 3 relief outings since have been spectacular. Rodriguez takes ball 1. As if there hasn't been enough excitement here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with a new ballpark this season. They're going to host the 1995 All-Star Game here at the ballpark at Arlington next July. Out of play, 1-1. Yesterday, they unveiled the 95 All-Star logo, and Ivan Rodriguez was on hand to do that. Today, they began selling the hats, the shirts, and all the other paraphernalia with the Rangers Major League Baseball 95 All-Star logo on it. The 1-1, out of play again, 1-2.
300 batting average, not bad for a catcher. You know, he just seems to get a little better every year, especially offensively. You know, defensively, he's won two Gold Gloves, and I think a lot of that was due to the fact that when this guy first came up, Ivan Rodriguez, and he still has a cannon. But when you first come up and you throw the ball like he did, people say, "Oh boy, he's a great catcher."
Turner blocks the ball, has no further play. Beltre advances to second base.
That'll be a wild pitch charged to Russ Springer. But my point on Rodriguez is I don't think personally he is a great catcher. I think he's got a great arm, and he's an adequate catcher. As this ball just bounces in front of the catcher Turner, he can't keep the ball in front of him. It bounces up, and 90 feet to second base goes Beltre. He's getting better defensively, but I don't think he's the best catcher in the league. I think somebody like a Ron Karkovic is.
2 outs, runner at second. And the count is 3-2 on Rodriguez with a runner Beltre out in scoring position.
Catchers who throw and hitters who can hit the ball out of the ballpark get a lot of ink in this game, don't they?
Oh, yeah, sure. You go down the list and say, let's name the very fine defensive catchers in the American League. Not to take anything away from big league catchers, but I think the list is not all that long. 3-2 pitch. And Springer comes out of the pen and walks Rodriguez.
Good matchup right here. Canseco, power hitter against a power pitcher. Good fastball by Springer. Good fastball hitter in Canseco, who's got 2 home runs in the ballgame.
These two fellows have not faced each other all that much. Canseco has had 4 at-bats against Springer and has had 1 hit. It was not a home run. But you're right, a good matchup. 2 on, 2 outs. Strike 1. Ed Bean, the young umpire, calling the balls and strikes tonight. This is the crew that was in Anaheim for the 2-game series with Oakland. Don Denkinger at first, John Shulock at second, and Tim Sheeta at third. Quickly, 2 strikes on Canseco.
So Springer, good fastball, just going right after him. He gets ahead 0-2. One thing you do not like to see if you're Kenny Rogers, a long inning. He has sat through a pretty long inning right here with the pitching change.
And 2 walks, so a lot of pitches thrown. Canseco is out. Swing and a miss. He stands at the plate. Turner almost to the backstop to retrieve the ball, and he throws him out. And that's how the Texas Rangers' 7th inning draws to a close. And this game goes to the 8th with a spotlight on Rangers pitcher Kenny Rogers. It is 4-0 Texas. Dennis Martinez in 91. Reds Tom Browning in 88. Of course, Mike Witt. Angels at Texas in 84. Len Barker. Cleveland against Toronto in 81. Catfish, Hunter, Koufax, Bunning, and then the 3 from the Dark Ages. Young, Joss, and Robertson. It doesn't happen often. Chili Davis takes the first pitch in the 8th. It's a strike from Kenny Rogers, who has not allowed a single base runner. The Angels have not come close to a hit through 7 innings. 4-0 Texas in the 8th. Chili is fly deep to center. Grounded to third. He lines one to left. Gonzalez has it. 22 straight. Retired by the left-hander Kenny Rogers.
Big curveball here. Chili does a good job of going down and getting it, but the ball just stays up for the left fielder Gonzalez. He's 5 outs away.
Here's Bo Jackson. Ball 1. A lot of things come to mind at this stage of this kind of game. For some reason, the first thing that strikes me is, will somebody try to bunt? And you know what? I say Rex Hudler will.
I thought about that. I thought about it perhaps with one of the, I thought about it in particular when Chris Turner was up at the plate, and I looked at Dean Palmer well back of the bag at third.
2-0 count. Grounder foul. That gives you some idea, looking at where that one went off of Bo Jackson's bat, that Rogers has a little velocity.
Yeah, he throws pretty hard. He's not an overpowering fastball type of pitcher, but he mixes his pitches well, and he got that pitch right into the fist of Bo.
Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Bo Jackson.
Gets him to swing at another bad pitch. Turns that ball over a little bit. Ball has a down and away movement. Look at this ball go down and away from Bo. I'd throw it again.
Rogers
maybe a little more off the plate.
Has struck out 5. He's gotten Jackson twice. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. He might have gotten a piece of it, but he didn't get much. And 6 strikeouts for Kenny Rogers. He is 4 outs away from a perfect game.
He does not go down and away. He goes up with the fastball. Boy, I tell you what, that was a hittable fastball, but he just threw it right by Bo. Right by him. When I say hittable, it wasn't so high that he just didn't swing at a pitch that he had a very difficult time hitting. Bo can hit that pitch, but just a little too much mustard on it.
June 24th, Big A. Rogers gave up 1 run. The man who drove it in with an infield hit, J.T. Snow. He takes a ball here. And J.T. hitting the ball about as well as any Angel right now. He is popped to third, fly to center. Switch hitter, right side is his better side. 2-0. This crowd, it is big, and they are on the edge of their seats. Every last person here. 4-0 Rangers. The Angels have not had a base runner. 46,581 looking on. And a grounder foul, 2-1. Kenny Rogers has thrown 88 pitches. 55 of them have been strikes. And he has now struck out 7. Curtis and Edmonds in the first, Jackson in the second, Hudler in the third, Jackson in the fifth, Edmonds in the 7th, and Jackson here in the 8th.
And of course, if he can get by J.T. Snowcan, who does he have to face in the 9th inning?
Bottom third.
Bottom third of the order.
That happens in a perfect game. Ground ball. It is a foul ball. Foul ball called immediately by the third base umpire, Tim Sheeta. No question. And Dean Palmer did the exact right thing.
He threw it anyway.
He played it as if it was 10 feet fair.
That's right. And that has nothing to do with the fact that, Kenny Rogers finds himself in the situation that he is in. That's just the way you're supposed to play it.
Don't make the call. Let the umpire do that.
You make the play. Let him make the call.
Rogers has retired the first 23 Angels. Off-speed pitch, strike 3 called. Kenny Rogers has struck out 8. He is being saluted as he leaves the field. He has a perfect game through 8 innings. And here at the ballpark in Arlington, Texas, the Texas Rangers lead the California Angels 4-0. Brett, and you've relied on KTLA for more than 40 years to bring you the news, always at 10 on Channel 5 News at 10. First pitch of the 8th to Will Clark. A ball. Clark, then Gonzalez, then Palmer. Will has walked and scored, flying to left and struck out. First time up against Springer. Out of play, 1-1. To recap for you, the Rangers with 2 outs in the first got a home run from Canseco. Clark walked, Gonzalez singled, and then Palmer singled in Clark to make it 2-0. Then after Lorraine set the Rangers down in order in the second, Rodriguez led off the third with a homer. Canseco followed with his second home run. It has been 4-0 Texas ever since. Out of play, 1-2. Russ Springer coming on last inning, the 7th, in relief of starter Andrew Lorraine, who went 6 2/3, allowed 4 runs, 6 hits, walked 2, struck out 4. And those are really the sub-stories. Out of play again. The story is Kenny Rogers, who has to be, no matter what he'll say after the game, a bit on edge and a bit nervous right now, because he's watching his team bat in the 8th, knowing that he's going to go out in a few minutes in the 9th inning with a perfect game. And there he is in the first base dugout. Liner. Snowball, baby, what a catch! The second sensational defensive play tonight by J.T. Snow.
I'll tell you what, Will Clark is no slouch at first base. I think we both know that. He's looking over at first baseman J.T. Snow and saying, this guy's not bad. This is a shot, and up the ladder he goes. Perfect timing, and down he comes with the ball.
1 out in the Rangers' 8th. Juan Gonzalez with a 7-game hitting streak. He's 2 for 3 in this one. Ball 1. In the 9th, due up for the Angels, Rex Hudler, Chris Turner, and Gary DiSarcina. Off the end of the bat, Hudler racing out, gets there in a hurry and makes the catch. 2 away. And I can imagine that man, Rex Hudler, is already thinking about his next at bat. You don't want to be thinking about your next at bat in the field, but I think you and I know Rex well enough that he is intensely considering his leadoff at bat in the 9th inning.
Well, he's a professional, and he's also a very good competitor. And he'd like nothing more than to break it up.
Oh, he's going to want to.
And make his night.
Just like he wanted to win that cow milking contest the other night at home.
Which he did.
He did. He wants to win. He'll do anything.
And he made everybody aware of the fact that the guy he beat, Bob Wickman, was from Green Bay, cow country.
Yeah, he was a farm boy. Swing and a miss. And Dean Palmer up there with a 2-strike count. And again, Russ Springer has come out of the bullpen and been impressive. Two outs, bases empty, 8th inning. Out of play, 0-2. So Kenny Rogers in the dugout, 3 outs away from authoring the 5th no-hitter in the history of the Texas Rangers franchise. Nolan Ryan with 2 of them. Out of play again. He's got the arm wrap off. He's getting ready. Ball hit high to shallow center. Hudler is out there. He is waiting. He's waiting. He makes the catch. And now everybody will wait for Rex Hudler to come up and for Kenny Rogers to go to the mound. He has a perfect game through 8 innings. Angels. The Angels have not had a base runner. A perfect game for Kenny Rogers going to the 9th inning. He'll face the bottom third of the Angels order. Rex Hudler, Chris Turner, and Gary DiSarcina. The third baseman, Palmer, is well back. Clark is close at first. And Hudler looks at a curve, strike 1. This crowd of 46,581 knowing full well what is at stake here. Hudler cuts and misses. 0-2. A perfect game on the line. And Rex Hudler trying to break it up. The West Division leaders with a win will move 2 ahead of Oakland. The A's on this date are idle. The 2-strike pitch. Line to right center. Hanging. Diving. Oh, baby. What a catch. Rusty Greer saves the day. A dazzling, brilliant catch to take a hit away from Rex Hudler. And to save, for the moment, the perfect game for Kenny Rogers. The ball was hanging, Greer having to dive along the grass to make a sensational one-handed catch. Oh, they love it here at the ballpark in Arlington. And you talk about brilliance in the 9th inning. The situation makes the catch. And that catch all the more outstanding because of the circumstances. 1 out in the 9th. Chris Turner. And this one bounces up there, ball 1. The play of the game turned in by rookie center fielder Rusty Greer. And Kenny Rogers 2 outs away from a perfect game. Turner takes a strike, 1-1, and they're yelling and screaming on every pitch here in Arlington. DiSarcina on deck. Here's a ground ball to short. Beltre. The throw to first. 2 down in the 9th. And Kenny Rogers 1 out away from a perfect game. There have been only 10 perfect games in Major League history. So we're all sitting in on history here at the ballpark in Arlington. 2 down in the 9th. The Angels trail the Rangers 4-0. Kenny Rogers an out away from Major League Baseball's 11th perfect game and 1 strike on Gary DiSarcina. DiSarcina has never had a hit off Rogers, hitless in 16 at-bats. Tonight he is grounded out twice. The crowd on its feet here in Arlington. 2 outs in the 9th. A fly to center field. Greer there. He's got it. A perfect game. Oh, baby. Kenny Rogers pitches the 11th perfect game in Major League history, and he is mobbed by his teammates here at the ballpark in Arlington. History made July 28, 1994. Kenny Rogers, a true gem. A perfecto. He throws 98 pitches, strikes out 8, retires all 27 California Angels that he faces. A perfect game for the Rangers left-hander Kenny Rogers. as he wins for the 11th time in 1994. Oh, what a sight, what a thrill here in Texas tonight. This crowd is delirious, and the Rangers congratulating the Floridian Kenny Rogers. Boy, it's something to sit in on. A rarity, the last no-hitter perfect game thrown in the big leagues by Dennis Martinez of the Expos in 1991. But that man, Kenny Rogers, has just thrown Major League Baseball's 11th perfect game. And you were here to watch it on Channel 5 KTLA, LA's baseball station. Well, how about that? Oh, baby, was that something. A perfect game for Kenny Rogers. The Rangers beat the Angels 4-0, and will return to the excitement at the ballpark in Arlington after these messages. Texas, Kenny Rogers has just thrown the 11th perfect game in Major League history. A perfecto against the California Angels as the Rangers win it 4-0 to come up to a 2-game lead now in the West over the idle Oakland Athletics. The Angels really did not have many opportunities offensively. They had a shot at a hit in the 9th inning. The great catch by Rusty Greer in center field. This is Rex Hudler leading off the 9th against Rogers. A fastball away. He loops it to center field. Greer will leave his feet to make a most dramatic catch. And that catch saves the perfect game tonight for Kenny Rogers. As you can imagine, Rogers mobbed, now facing all sorts of media requests. Ken Brett has been in the Rangers dugout. He is down among all of the excitement, and he is going to visit with Kenny Rogers' pitching coach, Claude Osteen, in just a moment. But what a game, what a night, and being part of history is something that you cannot help but remember. Always unfortunate when the Angels lose, but to witness a perfect game, something that I'm sure you will long remember. Texas gets 4 runs, 6 hits. They did all their scoring early, 2 in the first, 2 in the third. Canseco had a pair of solo home runs. Ivan Rodriguez also hit a solo home run. Wow. An incredible evening of baseball, a 2-hour, 8-minute game here at the ballpark in Arlington. So a perfect game for Kenny Rogers. And let's go now down on the field to Ken Brett. Ken?
Thanks very much, Ken Wilson. And down here with me on the field is the pitching coach of the Texas Rangers, Claude Osteen. And Claude, you've been around this game for a long time. Is this an exciting moment for you and the organization?
It sure is. It couldn't happen to a better place. We had a new ballpark. We're trying to win a pennant. The fans are supporting us tremendously here. We've had a whole bunch of sellouts, and they got their money's worth tonight.
The Angels did not appear, at least from our point of view upstairs, to hit many balls hard in this ballgame. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part. They hit a couple line drives, and we had our guys right where they hit them, but that's usually the case of a no-hitter. You got to get some luck that way.
Now, you've been around this game, as I said, for a long time. You remember a no-hitter from Sandy Koufax when you were on the Dodgers?
Well, I remember quite a few. Koufax threw 2 while I was there, and as a pitching coach, I think this is my, not mine. I've had 2 or 3 pitchers throw them. Bob Forrest threw one for us when I coached for him in St. Louis. And, of course, Kenny, this first perfect game, it's something special.
You sound like you're very proud. Did you talk to him at all during the ball game, or is it just let's leave him alone? Things are going too good.
No, it was leave him alone. Things were going too good. I did notice when he warmed up in the bullpen that he had a little extra stuff than normal. The ball had good zip on it, and he seemed to be making his pitches real well down there. And of course, he's had an extra day of rest, so that helps a lot.
Tell us about your pitching staff as a whole. You know, the strike date has been set for August the 12th, and what are you going to do up to that point with guys like Kevin Brown? Are you going to try to work them as often as possible with Oakland coming after you?
Well, most definitely. We're trying to win the division here, and of course it's a 13-game stretch run here. It looks that way, and we're going to try to get Rogers, Brown, and Pavlik in there as many times as we can, and still at the same time not try to hurt them because, Kenny has had a lame shoulder a little bit in the last couple starts, and he's gotten stronger and stronger, so that's why we gave him the extra day.
Well, I'm sure you're very proud of him. What are you going to tell him when you go talk to him now?
I won't be able to talk to him. I won't be able to say anything to him. He'll want me. He'll really want to take my strokes away on the golf course. I usually get 3 aside. I won't get anything now.
Claude, thanks for taking the time to come over and see us, and congratulations. You must be very proud.
Thank you.
That's Claude Osteen, the pitching coach of the Texas Rangers. We'll be back to Arlington, Texas in just a moment.
By a score of 4-0. Ken Wilson along with Ken Brett, and the score 4-0 doesn't seem all that significant, does it? Kenny Rogers throws a perfect game. The Angels had problems early. Andrew Lorraine ran into trouble. First inning, 2 outs. Jose Canseco crunches his 28th home run of the season to make it 1-0. After that, the first inning, Will Clark,
Juan Gonzalez singles, and that brings Dean Palmer to the plate. 2-1 and 2 outs. And he'll break his bat and loop a single to center, picking up his 52nd RBI of the year. 2-0 Rangers after 1. Then in the bottom of the inning, a great play at first by the first baseman J.T. Snow on Butch Davis. Now we go to the third inning, and Ivan Rodriguez leads off with a home run to left, and that makes it 3-0. Right after that, next batter, Jose Canseco hits another long one off Andrew Lorraine. Back-to-back homers, and that's number 29 for Canseco. In the ball game, Rogers struck out 8. He got Bo Jackson all 3 at-bats. 3 times Bo went down swinging. J.T. Snow took a called third strike, one of the strikeouts. That was the final out in the 8th inning. And then in the 9th, leading off, Rex Hudler loops one to center field. The defensive play of the game, Rusty Greer, a tremendous diving catch, and that preserved the perfect game for 29-year-old Kenny Rogers. Rogers in the 9th, after the catch, got Chris Turner on a grounder to short, and then the last man, Gary DiSarcina, a fly to Greer in center, and that rounded out Major League Baseball's 11th perfect game before a crowd of 46,581 here in Arlington. Cy Young, Eddie Jost, Charlie Robertson, and in the modern era, Bunning, Koufax, Hunter, Barker, Witt, Browning, Martinez, and now in 1994, Kenny Rogers, a perfect game here at the ballpark in Arlington. Ken and I will return to close things out in just a moment. Angels trivia quiz question. Our answers were
Jim Bunning, Nolan Ryan, maybe Steve Carlton.
Only 2 pitchers to lead 2 different teams in career strikeouts, and the answer is Nolan Ryan and Charlie Huff. See, we knew it. The great strikeout pitcher, Charlie Huff. Well, we see a perfect game tonight. First one I've ever seen.
I have not seen a perfect game, I don't think, in my whole career, going back as a player. I think the most exciting game I have seen, probably before this, was when Roger Clemens struck out 20. That was in 1986 against the Seattle Mariners. That was pretty special because it took place in Boston. This, obviously, in front of a packed house. Very special for Texas.
Yeah, third time I've seen a no-hitter. Mike Warren I called in 83. A's against White Sox. Fernando, Dodgers, Cardinals in 90. It's been fun. We've enjoyed it. Yeah. And we hope that you at home have enjoyed it here on Channel 5. A perfect game tonight for the Texas Rangers, Kenny Rogers. The final again as we thank Joe Quazzarano, our producer-director, and thank you for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow now, 5:30. The Texas Rangers 4, the California Angels nothing. Tonight's Angels game has been brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Southwest Airlines. Flying the low-fare airline is just plain smart. By the Toyota dealers of Southern California. We give you more for your money. By Farmer John. For the finest bacon, ham, sausage, hot dogs, luncheon meats, and fresh pork. Farmer John. By The Good Guys, the audio-video specialists. By Unical 76. where you find people who care about cars. And by your Southern California Ford dealers. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Is through in L.A. on the 28th of July, 1991. Kenny Rogers, the sometimes erratic left-hander of the Texas Rangers, had not won since the All-Star break. Bottom of the first, the Rangers give him something to work with. Jose Canseco hits the ball real hard. One of 2 homers on the night, his 28th. It's 1-0 Rangers. We had no idea what was happening yet, although if you watch Kenny Rogers, he seemed to have them all fooled. Vincent Bo Jackson, no thank you. Top of the third, Rex Hudler becomes frozen pizza. Top of the fifth, Rogers has retired everyone he has faced, and once again, Vincent Bo is up for a little bit more from a tough left-handed pitcher. Rogers, who at one time couldn't throw anything near the plate, gets Bo by throwing it outside of it. Top of the sixth, here's Hudler again, connects but undercut it just a little bit. It may go to the gap, but Juan Gonzalez is there, so we're perfect through 6. In the 7th, Spike Owen works the count to 3-1. Called strike 2. He thought he had the ball 4. On the next pitch, 3-2. Again, the risk of the perfect game going away. Fly ball, again, swinging under it. Again, Gonzalez with just a few jogging steps to reel it in. 2 out in the 7th. The next batter is Jim Edmonds, the rookie, and he swings to a 3-2 pitch. And despite going twice to 3-2 counts in the inning, he's perfect through 7. Shilly Davis, top of the 8th, line drive. Gonzalez again, 1 out. The next hitter once again, Vincent Bo Jackson. Strike 3, 3 times, high heat. Rogers is getting faster as the game goes on. Then J.T. Snow, frozen pizza again. We're perfect through 8. Rex Hudler leads off the 9th as the crowd in the ballpark in Arlington goes frantic. A line drive to center field. This one looks like the end of the perfect game, but rookie Rusty Greer, oh, what a catch. Saves the perfect game, and we're 1 out in the 9th. Chris Turner, the rookie catcher, started the year in the minor leagues. Back up, swings a chopper. Esteban Beltre double pumps, but gets him in plenty of time at first, and we're now 2 outs into it. 1 out away for the first American League perfect game ever by a left-handed pitcher. And again, Gary DiSarcina 0 for 16 lifetime versus Rogers, and there it is, a perfect game for Kenny Rogers, who 2 years ago could not only not stick in the Texas rotation, he couldn't even stay on the team as a middle-inning mop-up relief pitcher. His 11th win of the year, only the second shutout he has ever thrown in his career, and his the longest streak he had gone in the major leagues with a no-hitter intact was 4 innings. It was also against the Angels, and as we say, the first perfect game in the American League since Mike Witt of the Angels threw one on the last day of the season in Texas, in the old ballpark, in 1984. Here's the decade and plus work of what we have seen in terms of perfect games. Again, Dennis Martinez's was 3 years ago today. Tom Browning threw one at the end of the year. Mike Witt threw one at the end of the year. Len Barker had that fabulous one just before the strike in 81. And when they asked his grandmother what she thought of it, she said, "He's perfect. I hope he's better next time." More on that later.